Good morning, Division 9. Today's Tuesday, April 21st, 2020, and today we're going to do some math. So our learning target today is we want to convert different times. Our smallest unit of time that we're going to use is a second. Now a second, you can measure that by either counting or using a stopwatch, and there's probably other methods too. Now let's just use the first method of counting. If you count in your head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that, you would count to 5 seconds. Now, to prevent you from rushing your counting, you can also count in steamboats. 1 steamboat, 2 steamboat, 3 steamboat, 4 steamboat, 5 steamboat. That is 5 seconds there. So those are seconds. Now let's take a look at a minute. A minute is comprised of 60 seconds. If you counted as 60, you would reach a minute. Next, we move on to the hour. Now an hour is comprised of 60 minutes. And to figure out how many seconds are in an hour, all you have to do is multiply by the minutes by the seconds. Here, 60 seconds times 60 minutes. Now, if you had 60 seconds times 60 minutes, you'd have 3,600 seconds in an hour. Let's move on to the day. A day consists of 24 hours. A day is measured by how long the Earth takes to rotate along its axis. So it takes 24 hours, so there's 24 hours in a day. Now, if you want to know how many minutes are in a day, you need to take 24 hours, and you need to multiply by 60 minutes. Now that will give you 1,440 minutes in a day. Now, if you wanted to know how many seconds are in a day, all you have to do is multiply 24 hours times 60 minutes times 60 seconds. Or you can multiply 1,440 minutes, since we have the minutes already, multiplied by 60 seconds, which will give you 86,400 seconds. Let's take a look at the week. A week is comprised of 7 days, and if you want to find how many hours are in a week, you have 7 days, and then you multiply that by 24 hours. So 24 hours multiplied by 7. 7 days times 24 hours is 168 hours in a week. And if you wanted to continue, you would multiply your hours by your minutes, and then your minutes by your second, if you wanted to continue with this. If you wanted to continue, you would multiply 168 hours multiplied by 60 minutes to find out how many minutes. And then if you want to find the seconds, you would multiply that answer by 60 seconds. Let's take a look at a month. A month can last anywhere from 28 days to 31 days. Depends on the month. So if you're counting how many weeks, it could be 4.5 weeks to 5 weeks. If you're counting the days, now a month consists of 28 to 31 days depending on the month. So February is the shortest month, which has 28 days, and sometimes. So there's no set rules of how many days are in a month. Now a year has 365 days and actually a quarter of a day. And that's why every 4 years you get an extra day, and we always attach to February, so that's what we call a leap year. A leap year is February 29th. So I know Eamon's brother is born in a leap year, so he only gets to celebrate it every 4 years. But most people will celebrate on the 28th, so that's a year. Now a decade is comprised of 10 years, so some of you have reached a decade. Some of you may have not yet. Mr. Chun has reached 3 decades. I'm a little old. Then there's a century, and a century consists of 100 years. And then there's a millennia, which consists of 1,000 years. Now with this, we can convert some times. We take a look at the number 86. If I have 86 and I take away 60 seconds, because we know there's 1 minute, because we know there's 60 seconds in a minute, that would leave you with 26 seconds. So we have 1 minute and 26 seconds. So 86 seconds is equal to 1 minute and 26 seconds. So let's take a look at 48 hours. We know that we have 48 hours, and if we divide that by 24 hours in a day, and you can use your calculator, we know the answer is 2. So if we have 48 hours and we divide it by 24 hours in a day, we have 2 days. If I want to know how many years are in 1 decade, if I had 1 decade and I wanted to convert it into years, we know that 1 decade is 10 years. If I had 2 decades, that would be 2 times 10 years would give you 20 years. So that's how we convert time. So let's take a look at an hour. Now an hour is comprised of 4 quarters. Now each quarter is worth 15 minutes. Now let's take a look at a half hour. So 1 hour is comprised of 2 halves, and each half is worth 30 minutes. So in a half, there are 2 quarters in it, which are also 15 minutes. Now in a half, there are 2 quarters, which are 15 minutes as well. So it is 2 times 15, which gives you 30 minutes. So if you had 2 quarters, and you wanted to know how many minutes it is, 2 quarters times 15 minutes, so 2 times 15 will give you 30 minutes, or a half hour. If I had 3 quarters, I can have 3 times 15 minutes, which would give me 45 minutes. If I had 5 halves, and we know a half is 30 minutes, that would give you 5 times 30, which would give you 2 hours and 30 minutes. So after the hour, write the minutes. So grade 4s will be working on O.4, convert time units. Grade 5 are going to be working on U.1, convert time units on IXL. I'll post a link attached to this in our Google Classroom. That's all you need to know on today's math, boys and girls.